Good night, everybody. My name is Juvenal, and I'm here to give you folks an update video on the S&P 500 and the Qs. And if we have enough time, I want to talk about NVIDIA. That's the talk of the town. That stock is up on the back of earnings. So I want to give you folks my outlook. What are my potential long, my potential short levels, all that good stuff and all those goodies. But without further ado, let's start with the S&P 500 because that's the overall meter of how the markets are doing, right? That's the overall outlook. So if we could pay attention to the S&P 500, we're going to be building off what we talked about in our last video. So if you're new here to the channel, I would recommend you folks to watch those previous videos so you can be up to date with what we're talking about here. And we're just going to start off right now. So here you can see we're talking about that wedge pattern that we broke out here on August 3rd and we confirmed, right? So that's confirmation. And we were stating before that we were looking or waiting for a retrace of this, wedge pattern or slash bull flag, right? So you can see this is your flagpole, sideways consolidation, or you can just call it a wedge pattern, which we did break out, we did confirm, and we said to in our previous videos that a retrace would be a healthy thing to see. Right. And one of the potential levels we were looking for was this gap fill right here that I have an alert here currently at 7,602.68. That's what I was looking for. But seeing how NVIDIA is up in the after hours, it's actually more likely that maybe we won't, but there's always that possibility chance that we do, right? And also, we were talking about how we did test the 21 SMA. So we did touch it on Monday, right? We came down here and then we saw buyers stepping in here, thus those tails right here. And so right now it's trying to hold support. And if you look into the E-mini futures, we could take a quick glance at that. So let's go to the E-mini futures. We are up on the E-mini futures here, but we have come down a little bit. We pulled back just a little bit. Not of significance, nothing that doesn't mean anything quite yet. Because after hours, light volume, all the futures are light volume. But right now we're paying attention here. Do we hold the 21 SMA? This is going to be very important, right? So if we do hold the 21 SMA, then it's probable that we can retest this middle or this red trend line right here, which is from our bigger time thesis in the 2-month chart. If you and remember, we're on logarithmic. So for those who are just following around, this is a parallel that we mapped out from the 2-month, right? And you can see that every time we touch the bottom part, that's support, the top is resistance, the middle part has been keeping price in check. It's been keeping price, capped for the longest time ever. And every time we seem to touch it, we either get some significant pullback. Right here, we had a massive pullback. Here we had a 5% pullback before we even had a further correction to 10%. And then you can see here we had a hiccup with all the worries of capex spending and all that stuff, and if companies are going to make money off of it, and all these investments. And right now we hit it recently, not only once but twice. And right now we've been rejected from level. So this level is of major significance to us here in the channel. And right now we're watching to see is this a true bull flag or not. And for us, we're just waiting and seeing right now. So the first thing for now is to hold this 21 SMA. The simple moving average is going to be step one. And if for some reason we still come down, I'm still looking for this gap fill area right here, that 7,600 and 0.5, that area right here. That's going to be our area to watch. We could look at these pivots over here. This should be support. This should be support, and testing the former all-time high. I think that would be a healthy thing, a healthy retrace in the markets, right? So I do think that should be important if we do keep falling and we do lose the 21 SMA. And then I stated before, also, if we do pierce the gap fill, I would watch for the full retrace of the wedge pattern, 7,442.88, somewhere around this area right here. And then from there, we can't really talk much more because in our previous videos we did hypothesize other things, but getting too ahead of ourselves is also not a good thing, right? So right now we got to watch to see if we hold this to get the next leg higher, and then potentially retest this area right here to maybe get another rejection. And then we also talked about when we pull up our RSI, we are forming negative divergence, right? So you can see here from this peak here, here's our high, we made a higher high, and then here high, lower high. So we are making negative divergence. And if we do run, we want to see to make another high here, higher high, but we want to negate that negative divergence, right? So we don't want to get rejected here. So let me draw a trend line for you folks. So this is our negative divergence, right? This yellow trend line. And for those who are wondering that what this red trend line is, it's back from our 2 month thesis. You can see here on the RSI, we have a 12-year divergence, right? So that's what that's why I recommend you folks to watch our previous videos here if you're new here, so that way you can understand the significance of this. So let me get rid of that red trend line for now. It's being distracting right here, and we don't need these other ones for now. But right now you can see we are forming negative divergence. If we make a higher high, we need to take out this yellow trend line and make a higher high on the RSI as well. So make a pierce this yellow trend line and make a higher pivot from this area right here at the 70, right? That way we can break the divergence, and that would tell us that we can still go higher, right? So, but I will bring this up here. Look at the stochastic RSI. Look how we did reset, and we're going to get a cross here. So on the daily chart, we can get a cross. They can yield some good, decent bounces. Here we had a cross here. We had a nice bounce here. Here, we did a reset right here. We had a nice bounce here. You can see instances when we do get resets on the stochastic, we can get nice bounces here. So there is that possibility where we can test this area right here. It does favor it, right? So those are the things that I'm looking for, but there's always still the possibility we could still do the full retrace, and that could still be a healthy thing, right? So we still talked about how it's not the prettiest bull flag, but it's still having that bull flag formation, because before we were studying in the 4 hour chart that this looked like a rising wedge pattern right here at the time, and that did tell us we were going to get a move to the downside. That was what we stated in our previous videos. So we did put that bull flag into question. It did fall to the downside, and so that did come to fruition. But right now, if you step back and look into the daily chart, it's not the prettiest, but it still has that, up move 45 consolidation. So I'm giving it the benefit of doubt, right? And plus, when we look at the stochastic RSI that wants to cross up, and we start seeing negative divergence, and we stated in our previous videos, there's 3 peaks to the valley, and what that means is, like, when you have negative divergence, you usually don't have a big fall down until you make the test at that divergence for the third time. So what I mean here is, like, this is going to be your first hit. Here's your second hit, and we're expecting for maybe another hit here. And then you get your rejection, and that could start the move to the downside on the S&P for a bigger correction move, right? But so that would imply that we do make a new all-time high, right? And this cross will tell us that we can get a move to the upside, right? So that's what we're watching for. And with NVIDIA going up on earnings, that should give it the momentum. That should give it your narrative, if you want to say it, to make a new all-time high. So can it do that? That's something we got to watch for. But something I will watch for is this level right here. So this area right here, let's make that one yellow. That's 7,744.88. That's where we gapped down, remember? And then here we retraced it. But if you look at to the smaller time frames, like the 10-minute, we never actually fully touched it. We kissed the level. So that's something we should be watching for. But that should be minor, right? I would consider that minor. Maybe a good day trading level right there for a day trade. So if you're day trading the S&P 500 with leverage or whatever, I would look for that area for maybe a potential day trading opportunity to pull back, or to see if there's reversals in stocks. So I would watch for that. And then again, the gap fill or the full retrace of the wedge pattern. And then something else we can do, we can get rid of this wedge pattern. And remember, we were studying a parallel before, so you connect those same lows that we were talking about, and then you connect to your former all-time high. Here's that parallel, remember, that we were studying before. And so there's that area right here too. So here's that retrace. We can make a retrace of this parallel right here that we broke down, and maybe we can get a move to the downside here. So that's something we can also hypothesize, maybe come up with some scenarios. So we're just mapping out scenarios, this area right here, right? So you can see here, that's that gap fill area, this area right here, right? So somewhere around like 7,763. So that's what I'm looking for. So with it going up, I want to see, can it get through this area? And if it gets through this area, I would think we would make a new all-time high, test this area of our red trend line, right, from our bigger time thesis, right? And then if we do conquer that, then I do think then maybe the measurement of this measure move of the bull flag could play out, and we can go probably past 8,000, right? So that's what I'm looking for. On the S&P 500, that's my outlook. Those are my levels. So if you missed that, go rewind the video. And again, for that parallel, you connect that June 9th low, you connect the low from July 29th, and your former all-time high from June 2nd. And that's how you get that parallel. And remind you, we're logarithmic, okay? So that's what I got for you on the S&P 500. So let's look to the Qs now. We're going to the Qs, and then we got to go off logarithmic. So here is this parallel channel we've been studying about. Here we broke out, we confirmed, we broke back inside the parallel, and then we did confirm back inside the parallel. So I believe it was like 2 videos since I last posted a video. So we were here because here we didn't confirm, and then here we didn't confirm back above, and then here was your confirmation that we did break down inside the parallel. So it should hold the parallel as resistance. Thus it did. You can see here, we can watch even more carefully in the 10-minute chart. You can see how when you broke it and you confirmed, you retraced it, you got rejection, you retraced it again, rejection, and then here you actually pierced it. And in a daily chart, let me see here, did we close above it? We didn't. So we actually got rejection right here, right? So we see rejection here. And now I would expect, so tomorrow, since the overnight's over here, it's going to gap up, all right? So this could be something very interesting to watch. Do we immediately pull back, right? Or are we going to have enough momentum to fill this gap, right? So that's what I'm going to be monitoring right here. And remember, it still has that same kind of formation of a bull flag. So I'm giving it the benefit of the doubt because, we have this choppiness, right? So it hurts probabilities. But like I said before, I'm giving it the benefit of the doubt. It still could potentially be a bull flag, right? So that's what I'm watching for. So my area of resistance to watch for tomorrow is the momentum great enough to get back to this gap fill? That would be my day trading shorting opportunity right here, 729 point. Let me see, 87. I think that's what that is, that gap fill. So watch for that gap fill, and then also watch for this trend line. Remember, so you connect to your all-time high, and then you connect to this high pivot of June 22nd. Watch this one. So this should be a nice area right here. We kissed it, then we got the rejection, but we never actually touched it. So this should be a nice area of resistance right here in this area right here. So by the gap fill, and if we pierce it, watch this area, 735.16. And if we somehow get through this, then I do think we would test double top, probably make a new all-time high, and that should be your major area of resistance. And if we close above with confirmation, then I do think the rest of this measure move of this bull flag can play out. And not only that, you can probably make the measure move of this bigger time frame bull flag, right? But again, we have to be careful because on our 2-month thesis, we still got that 12-year divergence on the S&P 500. We got all sorts of warning signals on the bigger time frames. So it's just something to be cautious of. So I'm proceeding with caution. And again, this is not financial advice, but I'm just saying, just proceed with caution. And just be aware these bigger time frame divergences are there, and they're warning us, right? So again, we still haven't made a higher high, and we need to see that, right? Because we are still making lower highs right here, and we're still making lower lows. So this is still a technical downtrend, but we need to break the trend. And especially with these good earnings from NVDA, we should see a nice pop, but we need to take on, we need to make higher highs, right? So we need to take this area out to potentially make a new all-time high, right? So that's what I'm watching for. And if for some reason we start to roll over and it doesn't hold its gains, because that's going to be very important. People are already jumping in and coming into conclusions. We have to be disciplined. We're disciplined traders. So we have to wait and see, does it hold its gains? If it does hold its gains, watch for these areas of resistance. And if for some reason it doesn't hold its gains and we need to look for support, the gap fill is going to be my first area of support right here, $700.07. That's going to be my area for support. We kissed it here at this area this day on August 24th. We came super close to it. You can watch it on the 10-minute chart. So let's go to the 10-minute chart. Look at the low here. We were so close to that area right there. It didn't quite touch it. So that's what I'm watching for. And remember, we never never confirmed back above the parallel, because we did break inside and we did confirm the breakdown again back inside the parallel. So this, it should be technical resistance. Thus, we've been seeing resistance here these past 2 days because we closed below and we did confirm back below, and we're going to gap up. Do we close above and, and confirm again? And if we confirm, if we do something like this, let me map it out. Let me draw it out for the traders. So let's say we do hold the gain. Let's say we pull back or whatever. We still close the day above the parallel. We need to see another candle to close above to confirm. And then if that's the case, then we're more likely to visit this gap fill before we get some sort of minor pullback, and maybe retest here, we get another pullback, and to see if this area would make a bigger pullback or not, right? So we're mapping these scenarios out. Nothing I say has to be done or has to play out. We're just mapping scenarios, right? So um, as a strategist, as a chartist, you got to think of every possible contingency, right? So that's what we're looking for. These are going to be our areas of resistance. Here is our technical areas of support. And if we still somehow don't hold this would be like extreme bearish case. Look for this area right here, the low pivot area of June 9th. And then here's this blue rising parallel channel right here. So that's from a bigger parallel coming back from our bear market 2022, liberation sell off low, bull run high of 2021. And you can see we did a full retrace before here. We pierced it, and we even hold the 100 moving average over here. So if you put your moving averages, we hold it right here. And look at that. The 100 moving average is right here, right at that gap fill right here. So that's why I think this area is going to be very important. That's what this red line right here is. This is the 100 simple moving average right here. This is going to be important. So if we somehow don't hold the gains and we come down here, first support right here, the gap fill 700. Second support would be the retrace of our bigger time parallel, low pivot from June 9th low. And so those are my areas of support. These are my areas of resistance. That's what I'm watching for. But remember, we talked about the time count factor. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And at that time, I told you folks, usually when you get 7 down days or 7 up days, they usually mark exhaustion in the markets, and you should see some sort of reversal. That's what we stated in our previous videos. So we did have the time count factor here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And we also stated before, look at the tails. There's buying pressure down here. So maybe that was going to signify or imply that we were going to get some sort of reversal here. And you can see we actually gapped up right here on the 8th day. We gapped up and we retested the top part of parallel, got rejected, and then right now we had another green day. So it's trying to break out, and then right now we're gapping up. So tomorrow we should gap up. We want to see, can we hold the gains, right? So that's going to be very important. So let's look at our indicators here. So again, stochastic RSI cross, we should get a nice cross here. How big is the move going to imply? Do we get the full measure move of this bull flag right here? So the bull flag, we can make a measurement. So here's your measurement. If we break out, we should make a move to 778.25. So, and if we do break out here and confirm, we can probably make a bigger move of this bigger bull flag, right? So, but we're gonna take it one step at a time. And remember, our bigger time frame theses are showing divergences, and we have to be careful, right? So we can't take these things very lightly here. Okay, so we got to manage properly. All right. So as short-term swing traders, those are my levels I'm looking for. And that's why I covered my short right here. So we shorted here, I took profits here. So it was a super tiny profit, but for the same reason, I saw the time count. We still have that full bullish, that sort of bullish scenario, but we also talked about how we have the stochastic RSI and all these other things going for it. So that's why I decided to cover the short, and we took a tiny gain. Like, it was super tiny, right? So that's what I'm looking for. I'm not long, so I'm just watching. I'm staying on the sidelines because, like I stated before, bigger time frames, so just saying to be cautious. But I do have certain stocks that I'm long in, and only the ones that I have confidence in the setups, right? So I am long like SpaceX, some certain space stocks. You can see in the channel here, and that's our green list here. So we are long a couple things, we are short a couple things. Some things I'm just keeping watch on. So I do not have positions on these. These are just things I'm watching on. I did pick up some Qualcomm. Remember, that was in a previous video. So because we stated we have that bull flag pattern. So we're watching that. I am long SpaceX. So we have that same pattern here. I do think we should test this top part of parallel and those other things as well, right? So I'm out of time here. So I will make a video, separate video for NVIDIA. So if you're interested in that, I would um I would stay tight, hold on tight, and wait for that video to drop. All right. So comment, like, leave a subscribe, do all those good things. Right. Have a good one.